so I'm gonna do a starting soon screen.
Yeah. I'm gonna try and share your screen on here from Twitch if you want. If otherwise, then they'll just we'll redirect them there. But yeah, we got some people already joining us. Oh my god! Most likely they'll join you on that side as well.
Yeah, up to you. I don't care how you want to do this or whatever. I mean, so and then I don't know too if we want to plug that if you're gonna watch both of our channels, you should probably do the multi-Twitch thing.
Yes. Which I still don't know how to do, by the way. That multi-stream. Oh my god. It's...
Neither do I.
So you go to the multi-Twitch site. It'll ask you to put in somebody's name. And...
It might be something worth to do next time, because I didn't even consider that. It's just like now, it's like...
we don't have to worry about it now.
Yeah. I'm actually... yeah, that would actually work next time. Oh my god. That would so work. That would so work. Okay, so I've...
Judy, we were laughing about how you were like, Sloppiest Joe won't even let it go.
Actually,
just want everybody to remind you that I saw Shitty standing over a body.
So the banana. That would so work. Okay, so that was kind of hilarious.
Judy, we were laughing about how you were like, that was a lot of fun. Joe won't even let it go.
Actually,
just want everybody to remind you that I saw Shitty standing over a body.
The banana. Okay. Oh, we got people on this side. Hello, Stefan. Hello, Carol. Hello. So we're doing this. We will be starting soon.
Literally, I believe if you just hit that link, it should open up both streams. On multi-Twitch.
Yeah, I'm on multi-Twitch at the moment. It's got Eva. I made the mistake of, let me see, wine and wins. I keep saying.
I don't know if that works for anyone else who opens it.
Okay, I can see her video. Oh, mine's offline. I'm gonna break this thing. Mine is offline. Okay, I'll need to fix that for the next show. But I still see people coming in. Hey, Lady Cat. Hey, Nicole. Hey, Reiko. How's everyone? Hey, Barbara. Hi. In this channel, my name is Yellow. Okay. And we welcome everyone, obviously, that's joined the general. We're just setting up. Finishing our meal, so to speak, and we'll get started just now. So you can ask questions on whatever platform that you're on. Of course, if you want, you can ask questions on KP's channel as well. I'm going to post a link. But just know there'll be obviously a slight delay between channels, so you might want to mute in between them if you're on Discord, watching on YouTube and things like that. Just make sure that you've muted one of them so you can follow the conversation properly and it's not this echo. But I'm just posting it there. Nice to see like everyone is eating at the moment. Yes, we all So I'm just here entertaining everyone quietly. So we're going to be having KP on just now. For those that are joining us in YouTube land, and for there, we will be asking, obviously, questions to KP. So if you have anything in related, doesn't have to be otter related, marine mammal, and we'll see if KP can take it. And some other questions you may be interested that you haven't been able to ask. So it's going to be a broad coverage of what we can ask KP. It doesn't have to be isolated on our little otters. But if they are, I don't complain. We all know we love our little otters. And we also have with us Ayotenshi, if you people know from the MMRC Discord, but in our gaming channel she's known as Rieha. So if you hear me calling her Rhea, please understand. It's like
I will also be calling her Rieha.
Yes. So if everyone's here saying Rieha, we're actually talking about Ayotenshi from obviously the MMRC channel where we moderate. So people are going to be like, who is she?
I never expected it to be that like confusing, but
no, it's perfect.
That's how it went.
It's how you keep yourself secure, and you're not like us that want to throw our faces all over online and risk everything. So. Oh my gosh, Sal, what did you just post on the Chitty Let's Play channel? Sal just posted Dexter showering. And Dexter the cartoon, not Dexter the serial killer show. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. So that one Twitch multi-link thing, it works. It takes you straight to...
Yeah.
But...
Definitely something I need to do next time because I ended up streaming on my YouTube.
Are you streaming on YouTube or?
Yeah, because I switched my Twitch account because the other Twitch account wasn't attached to my it was attached to the Chitty Let's Play, and I didn't really want this to go there. But it was taking so long that I just switched my actual Streamlabs accounts to my default one, which ended up being on YouTube. I didn't have enough time to set it up. I was like, no, connect. And we already have people that are on here now watching on YouTube. If there was a way that I could pull it through. And there we go. We have KP joining us. But nice, at least I can see everyone on this chat as well. So, Lara, now I'm calling you, but your third name. Rhea, you'll be looking after the questions on KP stream. I'll be looking after the questions on the YouTube and the Discord. And right, I think, is everyone ready to go?
I'm ready.
Okay, so just to introduce everyone, I know you've been hearing my voice. We have the legendary KP with us right now streaming from her Twitch. We have Rieha /Ayotenshi, and we're going to be doing an AMA. And maybe KP, you can tell us what kind of questions the folks can ask. Is it just going to be Otter related, or what can we cover today?
Oh, what?
Did we? Uh-oh. I think we lost KP. We can't hear you.
What? Wait, there we go.
There we go. Okay, so
it's like a push to talk channel, and so I'm like, what's going on?
Okay, so
but yeah, so obviously my expertise is limited to marine mammals for the most part. But that doesn't mean that you can't ask other questions. I mean, I do have a broad knowledge of animals and animal behavior, but if you want something really specific, marine mammals is probably what you want to stick to, but it does not have to be about otters. In fact, I would love it if some of you meepers could branch out and start to love some other animals. That would be great too. So if you got other burning questions, feel free.
Okay, I'll shoot off with the first question. While all of you start thinking of question is, what is it about the walrus that is so special to you? What caught you onto loving walruses?
Yeah, great question, because now I get to talk about walruses. So yeah, I mean, walruses, I guess I didn't really... So I worked with walruses briefly before coming to the Vancouver Aquarium, and I thought they were kind of fun and kind of weird, but I never really had like a huge connection with them. But then I started to get to know them at the Vancouver Aquarium, and I don't know if that is mostly because they were young animals or what, but they just had enormous amounts of character. And it was something that I was very, very drawn to from the very beginning. I remember being kind of like, I was placed on the team for the walruses, and I was kind of like, oh, this is going to be a lot of work. And then literally like the day after my first day with them, I came home and Double Agent says that I came through the door and I did like the whole elf, like, I'm in love, and I don't care who knows it. They have a lot of personality. They in some ways in the same way as otters, like they can use their hands, their flippers for things. They love to play. So they just have a lot of character and an enormous amount of personality.
They seem to have like almost human-like lips, because I saw them like that.
Yeah.
I was what? How is that? I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. No, they do. And that's part of it too, is that they're just so unique. They're just such a unique animal in so many ways, and so yeah. I can't really explain it. Like, you're gonna have to meet a walrus. You have to meet a walrus once in your life. You need to meet one, because they just have an indescribable amount of personality.
Okay.
A question off of Twitch is, who does the best job at taking care of their coat, and who is the laziest at grooming?
This is a great question.
It's actually a 3-part question.
Okay. So I would say easiest, the person who does the best, or the person. See, I think of them as people too. The otter that does the best at keeping good care of their coat is Katmai, and I think you can kind of see that when you look at her. Like, the instant she comes out of the water, she looks like she's completely dry and fuzzy, and she easily has the best coat. And then who does the worst? Probably Hardy, honestly. I don't know why, but like, he's always got like little clumps of like wet fur, and just like, it's like, take care of yourself, dude. You know, like,
he's like, what? He doesn't care.
Yeah, it's like some male grooming techniques are needed over there. Like, he's still in like that teenage boy stage where you're like, oh, I don't need to do anything, and it's like, no, if you just cut your hair once in a while and like, took care of yourself, you'd get all the ladies, right?
Because I definitely noticed there. It seems that Katmai is always washing her face constantly, like every 10 seconds. Rub.
Yeah.
Rub.
Yeah, especially her head is always like just beautiful.
It is. She's definitely one of my top 10 of creatures in the world.
Well, she's queen.
She is queen. It's me. It's Joey, Taz, and Katmai. Those are my top 3 of the Otter family. Sorry, I love everyone else, but that is definitely my top 3.
They have a lot of personality. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so there's no questions coming through on my side. So, Lara, if you've got another question that's coming through on stream.
The other part of that 2-part or 3-part question was like, do the trainers have to intervene with helping them groom?
That can happen. We certainly don't do it if we don't have to. And it is important that they learn how to groom themselves. But if we're finding that there's some sort of issue or something, or for any type of reason, then we will step in and try to like, we had like Hardy, for instance, like I was saying, had like a little bit of a grooming issue not that long ago, and we actually were like sitting there combing through his fur trying to figure out what was the problem, and it's like, oh no, you're just a slob, dude, like just clean up your act, kind of a thing. But like, just checking over and making sure that there aren't any issues that we can help with.
Yes.
But yeah, if it does become a problem, it's much more of a thing, obviously, as you've seen for the younger animals.
Okay.
So the babies are not necessarily born knowing how to groom themselves, so we do
you sort of have to help out there. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of the grooming when they're younger, and then they pick up on that pretty quickly, and I think it's because it just feels good. Like, grooming yourself just feels good, I mean, I can relate, like going to the spa and stuff like that, like so they just want to do it, and they'll just start to do it themselves. Okay. And then we try to step away. So
I had this actually question. I actually forgot. It was one of the questions that came in earlier this week. I know it sounds like we've covered this slightly in the other MA before, but how destructive are the otters, and is this pretty much normal? I know you mentioned that sometimes the habitats are otter-proof, but we've seen even to this week that they tend to play with their surroundings quite a lot.
Yeah, I mean, otter-proof is always going to be a relative term. So I nothing can ever, I don't think, fully be otter-proof, and they're always going to find something. And then there's always like the age of the exhibits and things like that. So, so things can happen. But we like what I mean when I say otter-proof is like if we don't know how many people have been to some of our other exhibits, but like our penguin exhibit, for instance, like the water level sits just about like maybe a foot below the edge of the pool. So if I put an otter in there, an otter would just climb out, right? So it's just more like what they're made for. But they are incredibly destructive animals, so we do look at that type of stuff as well. So everything's got like industrial bolts that are like, we get our burliest, engineers to tighten down, and like the grates and things like that. And it is very natural for them to be destructive, because out in the ocean, that's literally their nature, is taking a rock and smashing into almost everything that they eat lives in a shell. So they have to be very destructive just to make it by in life. And they have to eat. When you think about, when you watch how much these guys are eating, think about that out in the ocean, all of that stuff would be in a shell.
Yes,
right?
Of course.
So like that's just so much more work. So the faster and more destructive you are, like the better in Otterland, because you can breeze through those shells really quickly and get all of your snacks in a timely manner. So our otters don't have to do that type of work, which is good in some ways, but it does also mean that they've got a lot of extra time on their hands, and that time they often will devote towards trying to destroy their habitat. So that's where we come in with the enrichment devices, the toys that you guys love so much. They're cute, and it's awesome that the animals love to play with them, because that's the point, is here's this, try to destroy this, stop trying to destroy your habitat,
Yes. Oh, that's actually very cute. I'm just going to quickly cover with Carol, because she asked a question as, yes, yeah, KP mentioned that rubbing the cheeks does feel good, but it is essentially for grooming. They're constantly grooming their little faces and that. So thank you for that question, Carol. Moving on, next question.
There's a question here in my chat that says, what kind of sickness can an otter suffer from? There's a few things, and we vaccinate for several of these things. And I'll try not to spend like too much time on this, but we vaccinate for rabies, which if you've got a dog, you probably are familiar with that. Otters are semi-closely related to dogs. And then we also vaccinate for distemper for the same reason. There are you've seen a lot of park animals that are in the park that are not otters that do enter our habitat. So having them vaccinated for those diseases is really great. And they do this voluntarily, which is even better. And but one thing that's really that I really want to touch up on, and why I wanted to answer this question, is something that otters are suffering from. It's mainly been down in California, but there's the potential to have this anywhere, is a disease that they're essentially getting from people flushing their cat litter. Oh
wow,
cats have cats have this particular type of bacteria. Hopefully I didn't go mute. Can you guys still hear me?
Yes, yeah, we can still hear you.
I thought I pushed a button and I heard a noise and I was like, oh no, it's over. And so that is a very serious problem for otters. So the reason obviously I want to talk about this is please do not flush your cat litter. You can compost it, you can throw it away, but when it flushes, it does sometimes end up in the ocean. And that is a deadly disease for sea otters, because they are so closely. It's not something that really bothers too many other animals, but sea otters are closely related to cats and dogs and things like that, or more closely than you know, say dolphins or something like that. And that's a
topic in on itself, is that we actually forget where all of that goes, and it goes into the ocean. We take it for granted every time we so easily just throw a whole bunch of toilet paper with one bug just to kill it. And as you said, cat litter, that's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be a problem if you're... Well, I don't think you should flush cat litter, because I think it actually is really bad for your sewage system.
Yes.
So just in general, just don't do it. But it's obviously a much bigger problem for people who live near the coast and whose refuse is potentially going to end up in the ocean. So.
We got a question very quickly here. Is how much does Joey weigh currently? Is that something we know?
Yeah. So I'm on vacation right now, and his weight changes on a almost daily basis. But last I checked, which is just last week, he was over 16 kilos. So, so for my American friends, he's like 35 pounds. He's like a medium dog. Like he's getting big, and he's got a chunky little belly that we're kind of watching. He still has like an amazing appetite, but like we're like, dude, could you maybe trim down a little bit? So we're waiting for him to go through another like length growth spurt. Because he's got a little belly on him, little baby belly.
Okay. Next question.
There's a question earlier about why do we not see Gustav or the S hooks in
in the upper otter pool?
Yeah.
Yes, in the Russell's pool.
Yeah, so this goes back to like sometimes I don't think like people understand exactly how much thought goes into these types of things, but like so essentially in Russell Pool or whatever, I don't know what you guys call it. What is it?
Cahoon's Lagoon.
Cahoon's Lagoon. Okay. So speaking of which, did you guys see Sean's feeding the otters right now? She's in there.
Yes.
But anyway, in Cahoon's Lagoon, there is that very long skimmer that runs along the wall. I don't know if you guys can picture it, but you'll be able to see it. It's very prominent.
Yes.
It runs along the big long rock wall, like sort of perpendicular to the glass wall, and that skimmer is a little bit bigger than any of the skimmers in Finning Pool, and so those items can just go straight down the skimmer and be lost for forever. And we have lost toys down there, and there's essentially nothing we can do about it. We can't get them back, and then that inhibits the draining of the pool, and it just causes all kinds of problems. So there are certain pools where the animals are allowed certain toys. And yeah, so there's a lot of thought that goes into like when we give toys, we don't just like give them like, can they have them in this pool? And it's different too if they're in the back, that type of stuff. So yeah, I mean, that's essentially why they're not allowed to have certain toys. Yes. They're not allowed to have the tubes in there either, because those will just go. And they do it on purpose too. Like we've watched them like just jam stuff down there, and then they're just gone. And you're like, well, what's the fun in that? I don't know, just because they're destructive and they like to mess with it.
Yes.
So.
We have
it's very much like our pawn order incident.
Yes, when they actually pushed the toy, which I still think I love Joey, but there was intention in that. It's like 3 times, but we had Becky defend Joey, so everyone, he was innocent. I had to defend Jelly. Very long story about that. Okay, moving on. We have a question from a user on the YouTube side. I know there's a bit of a question that keeps popping up, and I'm glad we're in this open forum because I feel it needs to be asked. Is when otters actually wrestle and play, do they ever really hurt each other?
It is possible, but the thing about otters, as you know, is that they have like the most the densest fur coat in the animal kingdom, right?
It's like armor, basically.
Yeah, it essentially is like fur armor. So they are pretty well protected. So they do bite at each other. They're pretty rough with each other, but that's just normal otterness. Yeah. We also have the ability. You always see us looking over the animals and making sure that they're, looking nice and healthy. So we're always checking them, but I have never seen an otter actually hurt another otter. So even though it might look kind of rough, they never break the skin. They never do any of that. And I think most of that is because of that fur coat. So
well, now at least we've had that question answered, everyone. So we know now that in most cases when you're watching them play, they're pretty much well looked after. And I've told this chat before, which we have a lot of people that get concerned, but it's basically the otters are basically living in a hotel with full medical staff on standby 24 hours a day. Imagine living in that, like you had your doctors right there and your caretakers. So I think they're pretty much safe.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. I mean, they get, we have on-call vet staff 24/7. They get, yearly dentals and yearly medical exams, and it's all free and very Canada.
I want to be an otter.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, next question.
This question came from Twitch. They're asking, why do otters love ice so much?
This is a really great question. Because obviously, like otters out in the ocean would never really come across ice, at least not in this form. It's quite possible they would come across like sea ice and stuff like that, but they wouldn't be eating that because it would be like salt water. So
yeah,
I don't actually know. I mean, it's very clear that they do love it, and we don't even really have to do anything. Like they seem to love it from a very early age. I think some of it could be because like some people don't understand that like how warm these guys are all the time. A lot of people see them when they're out there in the snow and they're in the water and like, aren't they cold? Even though they have no fat, they have a metabolism that's like 2 to 3 times that of a similar sized land mammal. So they are essentially little fur covered furnaces. And if they are out of the water for any period of time, if for some reason we have to keep them out of the water, we're cleaning a pool, we're doing whatever, we literally keep ice with them all the time, because like they steam, they positively steam when you're out there. They're so warm. So maybe it has to do with that. It's just like, oh, this is nice and cool, and I can munch on it, and that helps cool me down. Maybe there's some of that to it, but they all seem to love ice and always have. It's not like something we've taught to them or anything like that. So yeah, short answer is I'm not really sure, but I'm happy that they do, because it's something that's very easy for us to do, and it obviously provides hours of enjoyment for the animals.
I'd definitely like enjoy good ice when I'm at the cinema, but it's not the same thing.
Yeah. And somebody's asking here, like just kind of in relation to that, are the otters warm to the touch? Lo's asking on my Twitch channel. Yeah, and it depends on where you touch them. So there are areas of them that have less fur than others, like their flippers or like their paws. Those areas are always very warm or even hot sometimes. So if we have to do a medical procedure or we're doing their dental exam every year, we actually have ice packs that we keep on their flippers and underneath their paws to keep them nice and cool.
Oh wow!
But if you touch them anywhere else on their bodies where all that fur is so dense, they feel cool to the touch.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because their fur is so dense. A great question.
Okay, it's related, Joey. So I'm packaging the questions, but it's sort of 3 questions similar to each other. So the first is Joey dramatic compared to the other otter pups? Are his whiskers longer than any other otter? Is that something that's unique to him? And will he grow into his nose? Because it's massive.
Okay, these are great questions. So firstly, easy question. Is Joey more dramatic than all the other otters? 100% yes. He is so ridiculous. You've seen him, we give him a big handful of food and he screams right in our faces, or he just he'll throw his head back, screaming, yelling.
I love it when he does that. Yeah.
Or the video that I had that we did several weeks ago where he got an ice cube stuck on his chest and started yelling at me about it instead of dealing with the actual situation. He's extremely dramatic. I will say that about him. Are his whiskers longer? I don't know that they're. So some otters do have shorter whiskers, and it is a way that we can tell them apart. And it usually has to do with how much they are rubbing or exploring on different parts of the habitat. He does have very prominent eyebrow whisker thing that I know that you guys have probably seen.
Yes.
That's one of the ways you can tell him apart. I think it's his right eyebrow. He's got this one crazy old whisker that pokes out. So he does have very distinctive whiskers.
Yeah, you can definitely
I don't know
see
if they're
his face.
Yeah, I don't know if they're necessarily some otters do have long whiskers, but his are very prominent, and they're also very very white in comparison to the rest of his face. Some of them have a little bit more yellow, some of them are a little bit more brown. So his are definitely very prominent.
That's that mustache.
And his nose, will he grow into his nose? Yes, they do grow into their noses. I know. I mean, he may always have like a slightly larger nose than everybody else, but it's the same thing. Like Kunik. This is gonna sound really bad, but when Kunik was younger, she had like crazy googly eyes. Like I'll have to try to find a picture for you guys, but they were like, they were so wacky, and we used to just call her crazy eyes, and that would be like how you could tell her apart, because they were wide open and they were like off in different directions, and we were like, what is wrong with you? And she grew into that. And Tazlina also had a very large nose that she grew into. Some of them have really giant flippers, and they usually do grow into them. But Tanu always had a giant nose, and that never changed. So he may always have a big nose. I don't know.
That's awesome.
Time will tell
about the whiskers and the other part. The nose thing is a bit sad, because I mean I keep saying he looks like JP Morgan. He's got this huge nose and whiskers.
Maybe he won't. I don't know. I can't predict his genetics. But yeah.
Okay, moving on.
This was a question that came up a lot earlier when we first started. I'm not sure what it's referencing to. I'm assuming it's the walruses, but it says, was space the reason why they had to leave and go to another facility?
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, that's a great question. So, essentially, yes. So basically what had happened with the walruses was we, as a facility, agreed to take them for a period of time. It was never meant to be a permanent sort of thing. And that was because the where they were born, the Aquarium de Quebec, were actually renovating their habitat, and that was going to be a lot easier for them if they didn't have 2 baby walruses flopping around. So so we offered to take them, and it was supposed to be for 2 years. It ended up just being for 2 years, like we had planned, which is weird. Almost nothing ever goes to plan. But yeah, I mean, there was, again, a lot of this is above my pay grade, right? Because I don't make any of those kind of decisions about what animals we have, what animals we don't have. But if you think otters are destructive, walruses are 100 times worse. They are they can actually suck the bolts out of things because of that suction power we were talking about and how powerful it is. They're incredibly mischievous, just like otters are. And so the cost of building them a habitat that is walrus proof, and obviously has to be enormous because of the way that and you have to take all things into consideration. They need certain kinds of haul outs in order to get out of the water. They need we need to take into consideration if we're going to have a male animal, and we have to work protected contact with him at certain times of the year. So building a habitat for them would essentially just be a walrus habitat. Like, there's not a lot of other animals you could house in that. So it wouldn't even be a multi-purpose habitat. So then you're talking about enormous costs for potentially very little gain, and acquiring walruses is not very easy. Even though we had 2, you would obviously want more than that. So it was just, basically it did not make financial sense for the aquarium to build them a large area in order to house walruses for the long term and make that part of our plan. So that's the reason that decision was made. Or, I mean, like I said, they were supposed to be only on loan, and they did go back to the Aquarium de Quebec. So if anybody lives in Quebec, you can still go see them. And I want to go visit and go see them as well. But that's essentially the reason for that. And I wish that we had infinite funds to do just to have like 75 walruses. This is like my dream. But
that's
it's
a lot of walruses.
Yeah, it is. It's a bit of a pipe dream. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So we have a question from our YouTuber crew is, are harbor seals fun? Like, do they train well, or are they very friendly?
Oh, this is a good question. So almost all of our animals that we have at the aquarium, I would say, are friendly animals or are very used to humans. But that is not to say that these animals out in the ocean are going to behave the same way, right? So so I just want to make sure that we specify that. Our seals are super fun. They are really engaging and really interesting. They learn behaviors just like all the other animals. They're very, very good at a lot of things. They're not very good at moving very quickly, but that's just, that's just their biology. I can't do anything about that. But yeah, but out in the ocean, I would never approach a harbor seal or any animal. Because I don't know if we've talked about this before, but if you get bit, like even if we accidentally get bit, because we do have some animals that have vision or no vision, rather. I was going to say vision impairment, but it's really just like there's actually no vision. So they've gotten close to nipping a finger if they're looking at, we're trying to give them a fish and they don't know where it's at. If we accidentally get bit by one of those animals, it's a 6-week antibiotic course for for a really horrible bacteria that they have in their mouths. So even if you accidentally get bitten by one of these guys, like it can be a serious problem. So yeah, I never recommend getting anywhere near these guys in the ocean, but harbor seals are super fun and super cute. I love them, and for my birthday this year, which is in just a couple weeks, and I'll be putting out more information about this. I'm actually going to do a fundraiser for a seal rescue charity. Yeah. Ooh. So stay tuned for details on that. I'll definitely post like a YouTube video, and I'll talk to you guys about it, and maybe we'll. I don't know. Maybe we'll do something about it, but it's going to be super fun, and maybe we'll learn a little bit more about harbor seals.
Anything to help our little animals in the ocean. That's the best way. And you've just actually mentioned something that I'll quickly cover. That is the best way to help an animal. Stay away from them, but donate to them.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, and like I said, if you do come across animals, it's definitely, there are organizations usually just anywhere that you're at that you can give a call to, like here off the coast of BC. That's obviously Marine Mammal Rescue Center, and give them a call. They'll decide if the animal even needs help, because a lot of times we don't really know. We don't, as humans, we think, oh, this animal's alone, it must be in distress, but maybe not, because we don't really know everything there is to know about animal behavior and stuff like that. So they'll let the professionals make the call and try to help animals.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
A great question so far.
Yeah, and we're hitting all kinds of different animals, which is nice.
I know, which is beautiful.
Prizzle here wants to know which animals would be best at Among Us. Interesting.
I want to say otter, because
I feel like an otter would probably be pretty good. Although it'd be hard to sneak up on them because they're always like slapping on the ground with their big old flippers. But
if you mute them, I've noticed they end up in CL and PMB, and we don't even notice. 1 minute Katma's there and she's gone, and she's all of a sudden in Cahoon's again. It's like, how that's so fast. But it is true, the slapping flippers,
flippity floppity. But we often joke because sometimes they get little pieces of when we do the food prep. Sometimes we'll miss little pieces of shell or whatever from the clams. And sometimes they get little sharp pieces of shell, and we often joke and call them their shivs, and say they're just gonna go and shank each other while they're in the habitat, which of course they never do, but it's just kind of our joke. So maybe they would be really good at Among Us.
What I think that would be Katma. As much as she's the queen, she seems like the queen that came out of prison somewhere. She's got like this dark side to her, but she's also very beautiful. Don't take my words out of context. I love Katma.
Yeah, no, she's like one of those dangerous beauties for sure. Yeah, you got to watch out for the cat mice in the world.
Okay. There was this question earlier that came up on Twitch. Do you work with sharks or any animals that live underwater?
Any animals that don't have warm blood. Actually, sharks do a little bit, don't they? So no, I don't. I have worked with animals like frogs and snakes and stuff like that. That is outside of the mammal realm. We have an enormous collection of sharks and fish and jellyfish that I get to see all the time, and they're beautiful. But I know almost nothing about them. I'm not gonna lie to you. So, yeah, I don't pretend to know too much about that.
That's a nice one.
Thanks for the sub.
There's a few questions. Okay, there's 2 questions here. I'm going to quickly speak to them when they ask about, do you have any funny story. Funny stories having to do with otters. I would recommend KP upload that clip about Hardy and the seagull. That story was hilarious.
It was Rialto who smelled it and nearly threw up. Yeah.
So if you ever upload that to YouTube, Ivak, I'll definitely post on Twitter that to link back to that, because that was a funny story and it was hilarious.
Yeah, I should put that up. That was. I wish I had footage of it. It was so funny. There's a similar story. I don't know if you guys saw this happen the other day. So I wasn't actually here for this, but my friend Nadine and Jess, who you guys see on the Otter cams all the time, and we're just on there a hot second ago, were telling me I went in for work a little bit briefly on Saturday, even though I'm on vacation. Such is the life of a marine mammal trainer, I guess. But I was in there and they were telling me that Nadine accidentally dropped her scrunchie in the habitat in Cahoon Lagoon.
Oh no.
And Kunik got a hold of it. And so they were trying to figure out what to do. And so I guess Kunik was like stretching it and just messing around with it, and they're like, "Oh gosh, what are we gonna do?" And then Kunik put it up to her nose and sniffed it and went and like almost threw up, and then just tossed it aside. And they were like, "Well, I guess that solves that problem." And they were able to just grab it out of the pool. And Nadine was like, "What the heck?" So I was like, "Nadine, wash your hair, dude. What is up?"
I was just about to say that, like, Nadine must be so self-conscious of the like what is wrong with my scrunchie? But let's be honest,
yeah, exactly.
If you actually ever grab something that someone's been wearing on that and smell it, it is actually not friendly at all. That's so funny.
Yeah. I don't know if the footage is available somewhere. It was probably on Friday that this happened.
I can't believe we would have missed that. Yeah, unless because obviously the cameras rotate. So the cameras do rotate. We might have missed it.
Yeah, that's true. Because they had to like get a net and like scoop it, and it was like a big kerfuffle from what I understand.
What a way to get your scrunchie back. Like, yeah, we got the scrunchie back, but yeah, I got my scrunchie back because she doesn't like the smell of it. So.
Yeah, because she thinks I'm disgusting.
Oh, no.
You never know what smells they're going to like or don't like. I mean, obviously, they love the smell of, like, fish.
Which is ironic.
Yeah, old clams and stuff like that. But I've found they really don't like the smell of apples. It just really depends,
like it's too sweet, maybe, or acidic, maybe. It's like...
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
That was a funny story. There we go. You got your funny story.
There you go. Yep.
Okay, we have a very prominent question. It came up actually twice now. Everybody wants to know, when is Joey gonna stop meeping?
Oh God, I don't know. As soon as possible.
I was about to say for the caregivers.
No, I would actually, if it was like you guys call it meeping, and if it was meeping, I would be 100% fine with it. But it's more like, like it's like full throated,
more like hysteria,
like, belly screams. Yeah, throw your head back and like dramatically scream,
yes.
like he's in an opera or something. So yeah, I don't know. The short answer is it could happen at any point in time. I would say before he's a year old, he's probably going to have at least he already has drastically decreased in the screaming situation. And a lot of that is the other otters, just getting fed up with him and then just going and like, just giving him a quick like bite on the ear and like, knock it off. And we're trying to sleep, and he just sort of learns that way. And also learning that like we don't, if he's screaming, we don't come up there and go into his habitat. So he'll quickly learn that because we don't do any type of like punishment or anything like that, right? It's just positive reinforcement. So essentially when he stops screaming, he's been quiet for a little while. Oh my gosh, here come the people. Here comes the giant ice play. And he will eventually figure out screaming gets me absolutely nothing. Being nice and quiet.
It's like a normal toddler. It's amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
And I actually remember the clip from Sean of her walking out of the aquarium, and you could hear Joey meeping in the background. I think someone, which by the way we don't recommend ever, is someone recorded it from outside of the aquarium, and you could actually hear Joey meeping.
That was so funny because we like a few days before that video was posted, Jess was saying, I think I saw somebody filming outside the aquarium. I think we were trying to record Joey's screaming, and then just a few days later, that video went up, and we were like, "Oh, there he is!"
Because that is a loud scream.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Here's a nice question. We're moving on to another animal. There is, how many penguins are at the aquarium currently?
We have 5. Yeah,
Five
so
little
they're
penguins.
on 5 little penguins. So they're on loan from the oh gosh, an aquarium in Baltimore. I always forget what it's called because they've been here for about 10 years. So
And they're on loan? Okay.
yeah, they were supposed to be on loan for 2 years, and then everybody loved penguins so much that we essentially just hung on to them. They will eventually. Typically, whenever an animal trades places to another facility, we call that on loan. Now, honestly, more often than not, those animals don't move very often. Like if they move once, even if they're on loan, that's where they stay. That's just the way that facilities trade animals, because we're not selling the animals. We're not like, nobody's profiting from the movement of these animals except for except for the animals themselves when you're moving them for social reasons or whatever. So for whatever reason, our animals were not recommended in the breeding program. And so that's so we're just kind of a facility that's holding these animals that need a home but aren't really wanted in like a larger breeding population.
That's so sad.
Yeah, we have 5 adorable penguins. And yeah, one of them in particular is really quite lovely.
The one that walks around? Is it that one that walks around and does all this?
Yeah. Her name is Hope, and she's just
so cute.
She's, for whatever reason, she's just very attached to humans and not so much to other penguins. So we like to hang out with her. So
I know I'm stealing a question here, but it relates to that. Is what kind of penguins actually? That's my question. What kind of penguins actually are they?
Well, JJ, they're African penguins.
I thought so. I knew it. So, like, they look like the penguins I saw in Cape Town.
Yeah. They are they're South African penguins.
Yay.
So native to Namibia and South Africa. Otherwise known as the jackass penguins. The less PC name for them. And it actually doesn't have anything to do with their personality. It's because of the vocalizations that they make, which are they sound like a braying donkey, essentially.
Yes, it was one of the few animals that I actually have seen in the wild, because we have the sanctuary there at Cape Town. You can go watch, and they lay the eggs, and you just watch them be. And they don't smell as bad as seals that I've seen in Cape Town, oddly enough. But
But you know, really, almost anything that eats fish and then like poops all over themselves and doesn't care about it is just not a good smelling animal. They're just not
Okay, but thank you for that. I thought there were jackass penguins. I'm like, I'm going to ask today. Thank you for that question about from I forget which years it was. Sorry, I'll scroll up. But thank you for that question about the penguins. Yeah, moving on.
Yeah. This person's asking when Joey's going to meet Rialto and Hardy. Very, very soon. We've honestly we've been trying to do it for like, he's going to meet Rialto first, I believe. We've been trying to do it for like the last couple of weeks, and then one thing or another gets in the way. We always want to make sure that we have like the proper staff and that everybody's available just in case something were to happen, which we're not expecting at all. But right now, like the engineers are working on our beach pump and a variety of other things which inhibit our ability to drain pools and stuff like that. So just little things are getting in the way, but it really will be any time now. I'll try to give you guys a little bit of a heads up if it's going to happen, but you'll see it. It'll be live. So yeah.
Okay. Ray, you got questions? Ray, I think we owe her 2 questions.
Yeah, we've just been like, why don't you just have some coffee and hang out there?
Her side of the chat's like, excuse us, we exist too.
Hello.
I've been drinking coffee, but I am actually keeping track of all the questions that's being asked and in the chat. There was a question from much earlier. It was, do fur seals require grooming?
Good question.
That is a good question. So no, typically not. Fur seals do a really good job of handling that for themselves, but they have some different tools to their disposal, and their fur is not quite as dense as a sea otter, so there's a little bit of a difference there. But at a young age, their mothers will help them out with that a little bit. But typically fur seals, they have very long like claws and nails that they can use as kind of like combs and stuff like that. So they typically don't really need any help. I mean, we've got, did you guys see the cute little fur seal that's at the rescue center?
Yes.
You guys see pictures of that? Oh my gosh. They're baby fur. I know you guys are big otter fans, but baby fur seals are pretty cute.
Their eyes, they're like just these little perfect little,
yeah.
love me.
Yeah. So they and their moms, even though they'll help them like right when they're first born, basically their moms just kind of like dump them like pretty well shortly after. I think it's within like 3 to 6 months or something. There's like, hey, see ya, have fun in the ocean.
That's so sad. Yeah.
Well, it seems sad, but that's just kind of their that's fur seal life, It's just different than human life, but yeah. So then so they're pretty self-sufficient. So it's just in their nature, I guess.
That's actually a good question, Ray. We owe you a second question from your side of the chat.
Well, we are gonna have to wind down, at least for our side of it, unless you're all up for going some more. There's still more questions.
Got about 10 minutes left, or ish, 15 minutes left.
Yeah, I mean, whatever, and we'll be doing this again in the near future too. And
I have everything that's been asked so far. I have it all listed down, so when we do it in the future, we can always go back to these.
Okay.
But I actually had a question that I was discussing with JJ earlier before we started, and it was more a question that I don't think we completely covered it. But my question was, what got you involved in this career field? Like, what drove you to want to work with animals?
Yeah, so like as far as where it started, I don't even know that I could tell you. My parents will tell you that I literally always wanted to work with animals, like from the second that I could talk. That was what I was telling them I was going to do. So I'm just one of those really lucky people who always knew what they wanted to do and what they were going to do with their lives. But as far as like with marine animals, I actually really wanted to work with like tigers and lions when I was going to university. That's kind of what I thought I was going to do. And so like out of university, I just applied for a bunch of internships, and I'm actually American. So I was applying for a bunch of internships, and then I saw this one in Vancouver, Canada, and it was like, apply for like one of 2 spots working with beluga whales and harbor porpoises and sea otters. And I was like, sure. And at this point I was just kind of shooting my shot, like, just doing whatever. And I was applying for anything and everything. So I thought I'd send an application, and I got accepted for that internship. That was in September of 2010. Wow. And that's, the rest is sort of history. So
that's actually amazing. It's like
and I fell in love with the beluga whales at first, and the sea otters as well, and then and I just was like, well, marine animals is it. So
this is a question on this side as well. Are you aware, or have you ever worked with manatees? Because I heard they're extremely friendly-ish, but they look like giant potatoes in the water. They look massive.
Yeah. I know. I have not worked with manatees. So yeah, I mean, I've been like working at a lot of cold weather places. But manatees look amazing. Especially, you should Google videos of like people feeding baby manatees. Oh my god. Yes. Oh my god. Yeah, no, they look absolutely incredible. And the thing that I like about working with marine animals, and the zoo community in general is moving towards this direction, more of like a training and a husbandry focused type of thing. But in general, we do a lot more training with marine animals than other facilities do with any of their other animals. So I really enjoy the training aspect as well. And that also allows us to build relationships with our animals that most zookeepers do not get to do, because we're getting that hands-on, and the animals know that we represent their food and everything like that. So we build up really strong relationships with the animals that way. And I love that part about it. So.
Yeah. Okay. So I think we'll be rounding up there. I think are we okay to go longer, or is
we can go a bit. We can go a bit longer. I don't have anywhere to be.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm on vacation, so so if we want to go a little bit longer, that's fine. But
I'll just have that follow-up question from one of it, and that's a question. It's a very good question from Amelia. One of our long-time wigglers on the MMRC stream is, how do you tell Hardy and Rialto apart? Any tips?
Yeah, so good question. In general, if you're looking at Hardy's cheeks are extremely blonde. He has the blondest little cheeks. I mean, obviously Katmai's the blondest, but if you're looking at like just a completely dark animal with very blonde cheeks, that's going to be Hardy. And Rialto's just the other one, No, he's pretty easy to tell apart if you're right up there with him. But I imagine it's very, very difficult on the cam.
Doesn't Rialto have a bit of a tanned color to his skin? I've seen on sometimes he looks a bit golden.
Yeah, he kind of has like his whole face is just a little bit lighter maybe than everybody else's. But it's so hard to tell, and especially like sometimes they're dry and then it's impossible. Like it's hard for even us. But if you're looking at like a bunch of male otters, look for one with very, very blonde cheeks. That's going to be Hardy. And then you can kind of like process of elimination, check everybody else off the list.
I just like how Hardy also looks like he's got a big black lipstick, like he's going to start abandon Britain. It's like
he's got that emo thing going on.
That kiss
for
band.
Sure.
Yeah, it's got those big dark lips and his white fur. But there we go, folks.
Yeah,
that's how you can tell the difference. I knew that part already. I'm starting to speak. That's Hardy. That's Hardy. That's Hardy. Yeah. So it's getting easier.
Yeah, it gets easier. No, Rialto and everybody, my chat's like, poor Rialto, the other one. I'm like, no, Rialto is one of my favorites, guys. Rialto is one of my favorite animals. He's very expressive and very interesting, but his face is just not that interesting. There's nothing I can do about that. It's just he's just an otter. He has a very male otter face. Like.
So he has a plain
Rialto
face,
is the manly otter, remember?
Yes.
He's the manly one.
Thanks for saying that, because the fan art that came out of that is both the best and the most disturbing stuff I've seen so far.
Oh God! I don't even want to know.
If you ever get a chance to go to fan art, Freaky drew a really cool story about Rialto. It's actually a paneled comics. It was actually hilarious the way Rialto came out, looking very manly, but it was very, very, very funny actually.
Oh gosh. It's all like ripped and muscly and everything.
Yeah, pretty much.
I can picture it.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna keep going with these questions if we're gonna keep going for a bit more. Somebody asked if the otter's behavior changes with the seasons.
Yeah. So it does. The thing about otters, though, is like, most animals have a breeding season. And I don't know if you guys know this. Otters do not. So they are, like, the females will come into heat basically 6 months after having a pup. And then they're ready to go again. And that's essentially how that works. So it could be at any point in time in any of the year. So as far as like hormonal changes, rely on a certain season for those things to be happening, but they do outside and it's a little bit warmer. These guys tend to be a little bit lazier. They tend to like, we're always trying to give them ice and things like that to give them something to cool down with. Even though the water stays pretty cool, that air temperature can definitely affect their behavior and things like that. The light cycles. So right now, they're typically asleep until before it gets light outside, but of course that changes a lot here in Canada. Is like, in the summertime it'll be light at 4:30 in the morning and dark at like after 10 p.m. So it's mostly just like their activity levels, but it's not like in the spring they get super randy or anything like that. It's they can be seasonally or they can come into season essentially at any point in time in the year. So
okay. Question from this side. This has been asked before. I think it's a follow-up question. Peggy wants to know that in the last time it was mentioned that possibly Hardy was going to another country to breed. Hence he was fixed. Is that something that's going to happen soon, or is that something that's still not or been undecided?
Yeah, so there are no hard plans for any of this, guys. That is just what has been discussed as a reason for him to not be fixed, because areas in Europe, it's actually very difficult for them to get sea otters, so they would be potentially interested in stuff like that. And Hardy, as being a Canadian otter, it is possible for us to send him over to Europe, where it's not actually possible. Or
American.
I shouldn't say possible. It's just not nearly as easy for one of our American otters to go do that, because they're part of a population that's actually considered endangered, and that's the reason for that. So there are absolutely zero plans for Hardy to go anywhere. It is just something that has been discussed, and I would have. Honestly, I don't know. They could be discussing it right now, and I am not a part of these types of decisions, unfortunately. And I am not, usually privy to the information until they tell me that it's time to get ready or something like that for those types of things to happen. But and we all think that if Hardy were to go, oh, that would be so sad. I guarantee you, none of the otters would even bat an eye, and Hardy would probably be overjoyed to have a harem of females.
True, yes.
So they do not as much as we like to think of it. Even though I think the otters enjoy playing with each other, one otter is much the same as the other. They don't consider themselves like a family, because otters don't actually have that kind of familial structure. So as long as they've got some buddies, they're good to go.
They're fine. And I think we're trying to extend our own personalities onto animals as well, thinking that they'll go through the same thing.
We do.
Which is normal.
And
we do that.
It is normal, and exactly, and there's something that's helpful about that. You guys have fallen in love with their personalities, and it's caused you to raise enormous amounts of money for these awesome animals and do really incredible things. And so there's a place for that anthropomorphism, but just remember that the animals will be well taken care of no matter where they're going. So, and they'll be happy. That's our job. Make sure they're happy, and we take it seriously. So.
Okay, is any last questions on that side? I see all the questions even on my side.
There's still several.
They're getting We're
just not. It's just you and me not letting Rieha speak. She's got plenty of questions.
Go with the 7 questions.
I've just been relaxing, drinking coffee, just chilling out. Actually, we still have several more questions. This question is: what is the biggest challenge you've had with training Joey?
Oh,
other than his screaming.
Wise, there's a couple things that Joey does that drive me crazy. He used to have really horrible fur issues, as you know, and that was of course incredibly frustrating. Luckily, through that, he's now very tolerant of us messing with his fur coat. But we used to just spend hours and there's somebody's playing with him at the window. That's super cute. Just back breaking hours of leaning over an otter and trying to get knots and tangles out of their fur is really frustrating, and that's not really a training thing, but it was just that was just really annoying. I mean, it's so hard, you're trying to play mother otter to an animal when I'm I'm not an otter, I don't know how they do this, I'm we're just doing our best, but how does mom keep this fur so great? I don't know. So that was really frustrating. Yes. Right now he's driving me crazy with his solution is just to scream at everything insteed of to actually problem solve. So if you're trying to train him something, he's just ah!
So a real toddler. Basically.
Yeah, exactly. That doesn't help anything. Use your brain, try something different. And he's getting the hang of it, but it's It's definitely, yeah. Bean says, "Mom otters are saints," and I'm like, absolutely. Mother otters are absolute saints for sure.
I must post that video
yeah.
of the one otter actually covering the covering the pup's mouth. It looked like what it was doing, what was we all think it was doing, but it was very cute actually. But they're definitely saints.
Yeah. No, they can definitely, like, we've seen the otters go like, okay, this otter is like screaming way too much. I got to go over and put him in his place really quick. And that usually doesn't help. It makes Joey scream louder, but I don't know.
Actually related to that mother question is, we have a question on the Discord side, is sea otter moms give birth on both land and water. Which one is more common?
It's probably more common for them to do this in the water. A sea otter out in the ocean could spend its entire life out to sea and actually never come on land. They do sometimes. It's absolutely possible, but it is also completely possible that they never come on land. So it's probably more common they do it out in the ocean. But I guess it sort of depends. I mean, a mother is not going to like pop up on a crowded pier and do this typically because it's dangerous, right? Or I don't know, if she's like in an area where there tend to be like more sharks, maybe she is going to want to pop up on a rock and do it there. So I think it kind of just depends, but more often than not, I think it happens in the water.
And I think with all births, that's, I think, even why humans give water births. It's like gravity, well, the lack of gravity almost helps a bit.
Yeah, I also feel like they must have like, like I'm at the age where I wake up in the morning and like it feels like I've just run a marathon and my back is all out of whack, and it's just because I slept in a weird position. So I imagine that like living in like this water bed, like they must just have zero back problems. Like they just like
absolutely.
They just look like they're so comfy all the time, and I envy them their waterbed situation.
I actually wonder what the otter would be like if they've been out in water all the time and they step on land and suddenly gravity becomes a thing. It's like, whoa. It's like suddenly like, I am struggling to move around. Why?
My chat's asking too, and I don't know if you were here for this, JJ. We talked a little bit about the oral fixations in one of our past AMAs. But we actually, one of my Discord members found a video of a wild otter with an oral fixation who was like sucking on their tail.
Oh my
it's gosh, super cute.
It's
in my Discord, and maybe after this we'll play it again for people on stream. But yeah, it was so cool. I wasn't expecting it. We do this like little videos for analysis kind of segment, and somebody posted that video, and I was like, oh my god, look at this!
It's sucking. That is actually so cute.
It was super super cool. Yeah, I think Georgie posted it. So. Yeah, definitely check that out. But anyway, somebody Barma was mentioning that, so
okay. And next question.
I think this question, going down the list, we still have a few more. I am just so anybody knows, I'm crossing out questions that have been answered through the chat.
Yes.
By anyone else. So this question is, do you have any favorite waterproof gear?
Oh, yeah. What I've learned from working in Vancouver in the pissing rain near near salt water, is that nothing is actually waterproof. There is not a single thing in this world that is literally waterproof. But because like they'll give us like these waterproof jackets, and you'll be like, I was outside for an hour and it was pouring rain and now I'm soaking wet. Like it doesn't matter. Like, you know, but so my boots are like my favorite things in the entire universe. So they're just like Helly Hansen boots with steel toe. Steel toe is very important. And because they're steel toe though, my feet get really cold. So then I have this thing, they're called Bamas. You can get them at Mark's, Mark's warehouse up here or whatever, Mark's work warehouse, and they're basically just like very insulated like covers for your feet, and those are lifesavers for keeping my tootsies warm. I have a heated vest. I think it's also made by Helly Hansen. So those are some of my favorite wintertime sort of things that I have that I could not live without for sure. Also, my sunnies. You guys see me wear sunnies no matter what, rain or shine, on the top of my head. Those are really important because otherwise my hair gets in my face. So I'm always so you can see me because I'm always wearing sunnies.
Oh, now we know. It'd be like the sunglass on the head. That is KP.
Yeah, it is 100%.
It's like a dual thing. We have a question on this side. Is can Joey hold his breath underwater as long as the others can?
That's a good question. Probably not if I had to guess, but none of our otters can really hold their breath as long as like a wild otter would. So the longest recorded dive, I think, is just a little over 7 minutes for a wild sea otter, which is insane.
Yes.
They usually, out in the ocean, they're usually doing closer to like 2 minutes, right and around that range. But if you watch our otters, it's very rarely over 15 to 20 seconds, right? Just because there's not a reason to do it unless Katmai's found something that she can unscrew on the bottom of the pool, you know? So yeah, so in general, I mean, it's just like human athletes, right? Like like humans, oh, somebody's sleeping. Sorry. Humans can hold their breath for very long periods of time if they train for it.
Yes.
So the same is true with the otters. So our otters are kind of like the non-athletic otters in this
that's actually
scenario.
amazing. They're like built for the water, but they can't actually keep their breath held in the water.
yeah, exactly. So I mean, they can do long periods of time, but they're just our otters are not athletic enough. They haven't figured it out just yet. So,
which is actually
and they don't need to. Again, it's like there's just like zero reason for them to do it. So, yeah, that's a good question.
I think there's a one TAZZTALK clip which I only noticed after I made it, where Katma is coming out of the water and she seems to be taking such a huge breath, like just jumps up and and she carries on swimming. And I was like, when I saw it, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's what I would do if I was swimming.
Yeah, no, for sure. If they're down there for a long period of time, we'll definitely see them come up and like open mouth, like take another deep breath and go back down. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
That typically means they're up to no good. They've found something.
That was Katma. So
yeah, it checks out. That's awesome.
Someone on Twitch asked if you ever wonder what they are thinking about.
I wonder this all the time. This is like as a trainer, like this is like, it's kind of what we do, right? Is like trying to get inside the mind of an otter, you know, like what's going on inside the mind of an otter.
What are they dreaming of right now?
And so that's basically the whole game we're playing is like, okay, what are you thinking? Like what, you know, how can I get you to understand what I'm what I'm thinking, what I'm looking for, is kind of the game that we're playing. So yeah, but I maybe so I don't really think they're thinking in the same way that like I'm sure that a lot of meepers are thinking. Like I'm not like, hey Taz, you want to go play with it? Like that's not like what's going on in my head. More it's like, it's just like looking at their behavior and going, okay, like why are they doing this?
Yes.
Yeah, and what's the motivation behind that, and how can I help them to understand what I'm looking for and stuff like that. So,
that's actually very good. A question from my side is, besides the walruses and that, what has been the most unique or rare animal that you've worked with that has been like, wow?
Besides the walruses. No, this is good. I've got a good one. Easy. A false killer whale by the name of Chester. So we had a rescued false killer whale come through the Marine Mammal Rescue Center and be deemed non-releasable. He was found beached off the coast here and abandoned by his family. And so we took him in, and he was probably abandoned because he was very unhealthy. He was very sick, and he was always sick. So it was something we were always battling. It was kind of a little bit of a, what's that character from A Christmas Story? The little boy who's always sick. Yes, it was kind of like...
Looks like me in the morning, yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of Tiny Tim. Yeah, it was a bit of a Tiny Tim situation. And so he was incredibly unique. False killer whales are super cool. I mean, very few people in the world have ever had the opportunity to work with them. And I got to raise a little baby one. So,
that's so
cute. Yeah, Chester had a lot of personality. I was deeply in love with Chester.
I will just never forget, since you've said that, because I've watched the stream from Montague Bay and that. I love all aquariums, okay, people, before they all jump on me. But I'll never just forget now. Every time you say false killer whale, I'm like, yes, because it's a dolphin, and a killer whale is technically a dolphin, and it's not a whale, which makes my mind just explode.
Yeah, and false killer whales are like, they're not even really related to killer whales. It's just like it's a bit of a...
Someone was lazy when they found it. They went through the struggle of naming a manatee, and then like, false killer whale. Let's call it that. Any questions? I think on my side, I'll be having to end off soon. So is any questions from Rhea?
Yeah, we still have a bunch more, but I mean, are you up
if you have to sign off too, JJ, it's not a problem. So,
but carry on. Carry on.
This question is: what is your favorite baby mammal?
I mean, guys, you guys are gonna start getting mad at me. Yeah, it's a walrus. Like,
how can we not expect that?
I know. If we have to eliminate walrus,
your second favorite. Let's be more accurate. Second favorite.
Okay. If we have to eliminate walrus, I do like baby sea otters. Like before they really scream, before they can move, like when they just lie there, love it. I love it.
Really? That's so cute.
Yeah, no, I do. I mean, like they're super cute. Like there's, like I talk about a bunch of shit about sea otters, but I really do like them, and they are. But before they're mischievous and they're just cute, that's even better. Like, nice. It's great. And they're super floofy, as you know. So yeah. I would probably have to say, like, these are of animals that I've worked with. Yeah, probably baby otter if I'm not allowed to pick baby walrus.
Okay, well, you know what? I think everyone can appreciate that answer just because of that. But it is cute. I think Joey's face when he was in the water, his baby otter face was the cutest. He always looked like, what am I doing here? What's going on? Yeah. Why am I wet? There's he actually had cartoon face eyes, basically. It was actually the cutest thing.
I'll have to. They are really cute. Until I have a picture that I should share with you guys. It's just a picture that doesn't actually an otter in it, but it's just a picture of like wet splatter all over my boots. And it's because Joey peed all over me on the very first day that I was trying to take care of him and trying to get him to the potty, and he just peed all over me. Like little boy animals are the same, even if they're humans. It doesn't even matter. Like they're just peeing all over the place all the time.
Like that's the best part. Like, oh, he's peed again.
Yeah. Well, it's just like, like I know, like parents are always, taking off the diaper and then getting like pee like directly like on their faces, like from trying to change a diaper, and it's just like that. Like there's just like they have no control over their little wieners, and there's just pee everywhere all the time. So it's just baby boys are weird.
That is actually so cute. And yes, I have to answer my own question. Yes, it is me, the JJ Towel. Yeah. Someone just asked that out. That is me. Let me see over here. Okay, that's something else. But okay, so maybe you want to mute this side, but because we're going to do a bit of cross promotion things here. This is nice about being in this open forum is that first of all, KP, are you going to be continuing with the stream even after I end off? You're going to be doing this carry on in your Twitch, or you're going to be going over to games maybe?
I'm gonna be staying on. We're gonna be playing some games. We're gonna be playing some Planet Zoo, and people are more than welcome to continue to ask questions. Planet Zoo is a really easy peasy game. I can chat with everybody, and so you're more than welcome to stay, ask questions, and enjoy. Planet Zoo is an animal game, so that's why I picked it. So we'll be looking at some otters and some seals and hanging out with some creatures. So
yeah, everyone's getting excited that they see my face as well. But on my side, I'd like to thank everyone for joining. Please, I'm going to post KP's link so you can cross over to there to go watch her and her gaming things, or you can return back to the MMRC channel. Remember, they've got 2 live streams running at the moment. One is of Joey when he was a baby, and others a common stream. But you can also carry on going asking the questions that possibly we didn't cover over here. Obviously, have to do a bit of promotion on both sides. Which we can do here is KP also has some merch on her side. If you want to go take a look on that side, it's awesome. The onesies are the best. But at the same time, we also got merch on our side for our cartoon, the Taz Talks. We've branded the cartoon, and we will be giving proceeds, obviously, from that back to VA or MMRC, depending on what we do with that. So at least you get something back in return as well. So we've got that. That's in the link below. And I'll be posting KP's Twitch now, so you can cross over and go ask her all the questions that you've been asking us that we haven't answered.
And that latest Taz talk is hilarious.
Oh, thank you. We're definitely going to, I do appreciate the laughter from your guys. We're definitely going to let you know in advance about the premiere. The reaction video was the best. It made my day.
Yeah,
really
we usually, anytime from like Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I don't know when's your best time for posting videos, but I can also tell them not to watch them, and we'll just watch them together. But I texted them like right after you were like, I want another reaction video, and I was like, hey, did you guys watch the video yet? And they were like, yeah, it was amazing. And I was like, you jerks, like so. They were like, we could fake it, and I was like, no, we want it to be genuine. Like that first one was so funny, so we'll definitely plan another one. See, there's Jess again. So I yelled at her. I was like, you idiots, we're doing reaction videos.
We're supposed to do it. It actually worked out so well, but I'll definitely let you know when we were going to premiere the other Taz Talks. We're going to be trying, by the way, to our fans, we're going to be trying to do it once a week, but it is completely also dependent on Tiny Tuber and her artistic ability. I can do the jokes and voices for days, but she needs to draw it in. But I loved your reaction video.
That's all the videos for sure, right? Like I have zero, like there's zero involvement from me for just like, doing a quick little like blurb about something, and then of course Double Agent has to edit the whole thing and takes him like 2 days, and so that's the way of it.
But thank you for your and Sean's involvement in this video. It's like it was so much more authentic. I cannot do a woman's voice, obviously. No, but appreciate it. Okay, guys, I'm posting the link now. Thank you, KP, so much for this. I hope we do this again soon. It was really entertaining from my side. Rhea, thank you as well for joining us as well. Rhea also has a Twitch channel. You can go watch her game as well. Please, all the support we get, we all love the animals in the same way and enjoy KP's stream.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks again, JJ, and we'll see you again soon. Maybe we'll play Among Us a little bit earlier for you next time.
Oh, yes, when the birds aren't coming up at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
But there we go, folks. There's a stream. I'll be ending the stream off here. I will possibly carry on talking to you guys, but as for the stream itself that I'm streaming,